Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes in the Word. This is Barry Bryson, and we're there on the night that Jesus was betrayed with Peter. Judas has betrayed Jesus. Peter has raised his sword, cut off Malchus's ear, and Jesus has healed that ear, but has rebuked Peter and told him that this was in no way in keeping with what he came to do. And then Jesus was taken away. It's amazing that a man who could perform a miracle in front of their eyes would then be arrested. But we know when people in power decide they want to keep that power, reason and truth don't mean much. And innocent people get hurt. In fact, the people that we depend upon most of all can be treated in terrible, terrible ways when someone's trying to look after their own self-interest and hold on to power. Peter was told by Jesus that earlier that night that he was going to betray him 3 times. He said to him earlier in Luke chapter 22, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked permission to sift you like wheat, but I've prayed for you that your faith will be strong. And you, when you have returned, strengthen your brethren. He told him, you're going to be knocked down as far as you can go. You're going to be knocked out of your own husk. But you can stand up again, and you can be strong again, and you can make others strong. Tonight, or this morning, I should say, we see the moment when he gets the husk knocked right off of him. We get a detail in Luke's gospel we don't get anywhere else, and it's such a telling, vivid, heartbreaking detail that we have from the story of Peter denying Jesus. Peter follows at a distance. We've said that Peter is drawn to Jesus like a magnet, and he is. And he always can. It's a theme in his arc, the arc of their relationship. He can't be parted from his Lord, and even though he's clearly afraid of what's going on and overwhelmed by it and unprepared for how to deal with it, he follows. He follows at a distance, and he ends up in the courtyard of Caiaphas's house, where he has a line of sight seeing what's happening to Jesus, and he's there by the fire. And it is there at this fire that he's recognized as a guy not from around those parts, as he's recognized as a Galilean and one of the ones with Jesus. Having arrested Jesus, they led him away and brought him to the house of the high priest, but Peter was following at a distance. And after they had built a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter was sitting among them. And a certain servant girl, seeing him as he sat in the firelight, looked very closely at him and said, "This man was with him too." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I don't know him." A little later, another saw him and said, "You are one of them too." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." And after about an hour had passed, another man began to insist, saying, "Certainly this man was also with him, for he's a Galilean too." And Peter said, "Man, I don't know what you are talking about." And immediately, while he was still speaking, a cock crowed. And the Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had told him, "Before the cock crows today, you're going to deny me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. Of course he did. So many things in Peter's arc, in the arc of his relationship with Jesus, come full circle. When he was on the Mount of Transfiguration, and he said that completely wrong thing about building a shrine to Moses, Elijah, and Jesus, God stopped him while he was still speaking and said, "This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. Listen to him." And tonight, on this night, while he was still speaking, and Matthew says cursing, the cock crows. And we get that detail in Luke that we get nowhere else. That Jesus whose face was already bruised and bloodied, looked at Peter. And their eyes met. And I don't think it was a look of disappointment, maybe a little. I think it was a look expressing all the things he'd already said earlier that night, that I love you and I pray for you and I know you can get back up from this. And I think that was probably the most heartbreaking thing of all. Well, Jesus gives Peter an opportunity to stand back up in just a few days. And we'll talk more about what happens when the tomb is found empty, when we're together again. Thank you for joining me for 5 Good Minutes with the Word.